Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about Saw 2, continuing working out of this massive, unfortunately broken box set of mine. Saw 2 is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman from 2005, a horror mystery starring Tobin Bell as Jigsaw, Dina Meyer as Allison Carey, Shawnee Smith as Amanda Young. Those are all of the returning cast members from the previous film. We have a newcomer, Donnie Wahlberg, as Eric Matthews. Two things. Donnie Wahlberg, obviously, is Mark Wahlberg's brother, who we've seen a few times, both here and on Instagram. And he will be around the series for the next 2 movies, I want to say. I can't really remember. Alright, next up we have Emmanuel Vauger as Addison Corday, Eric Knudsen as Daniel Matthews, Beverly Mitchell as Laura Hunter, Lyric Bent as Rig. Rig will be around for a couple of movies too. Glenn Palmer as Jonas Singer, and Frankie G as Xavier. Film has a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, the third highest, with Jigsaw and Saw 6 tied in second with a 39%, and the first one is the highest, like a 40-something%. And with a budget of $4 million, the film made $147.7 million at the box office. I want to say that's a slightly less than the first film. I think this trap plot inside of this one is much better than the first one. Instead of it being 2 random people that are somewhat connected to each other trapped in a room for hours on end, this one puts 6 or 7 different people in a house that they have to explore to find an antidote to the poison that's slowly killing them. So through the vents, Jigsaw is pumping a poisonous gas, or nerve toxin, whatever you want to call it, into their systems, and throughout there's different antidotes. Obviously there's tests in order for them to get to the antidotes, usually relating to something tied into the character, which is something new that's different than the last film. Let's see. She just messed me up big time. Okay. So they're all connected via being arrested by Eric Matthews, who's Daniel's father. Daniel is also locked into the house as well. You know, obviously the mistrust starts, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. They start to not like him. In fact, Xavier goes all raging, roided out man and starts attacking Daniel at one point. Eric and Allison and Rig, meanwhile, find Jigsaw. They find him and they're trying to get out of him where the house actually is. He gives them a house. It's the wrong one. What happens is they find a house that is it's another house that Jigsaw is set up to fake out. I don't quite remember how Rig and Allison Carey's character end up to the house, but I do know it's not the right one, and Eric kidnaps Jigsaw and has him take him to the house so he can find his son. He ends up doing that. His son has been put into a safe to protect him. So there's some okay kills in this, but the best comes right at the beginning, which I have to say kind of sounds crazy, but there's a double-sided steel head trap thing, right? So it's got like a face mask and like eye holes, nose hole, mouth holes, and then there's just a completely covered up one set on a timer. Inside of the cutout is a bunch of nails. He's got the guy in the beginning, I don't remember his name, he's got a key behind his eyeball, don't know how he did that, and his option is to either blind himself or die. Yeah. Yeah, gross, right? Gross. I could not imagine having to blind myself in order to save my own life, but hey, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it, right? Obviously, it's kind of disgusting and grossing him out, and he can't really bring himself to do it. So the trap slams shut. And there's a lot of gore and blood, and it's pretty cool, not gonna lie. Um, it's really kind of horrifying to think about either blinding yourself or death. I think if I absolutely had to do it, like, I would just blind myself in one eye and live with a glass eye the rest of my life and then just kind of go with it. But that's me, not everybody, and everyone else might be like, yeah, no, bro, I'm good. I understand if you like that. The acting's pretty good. As I said last time, it's time for Shawnee Smith, Dina Meyer, and Tobin Bell to shine. Two of which would become series namestays, Shawnee Smith and Tobin Bell's characters, Amanda Young and Jigsaw, respectively. Dina Meyer will be around for one or two more films, and then she'll be gone. I'm not going to tell you how, though. You gotta watch. Cat's really starting to get antsy here for some reason. Anywho, meanwhile, Donnie Wahlberg delivers another performance as he's known to do, really powerful. If you've ever watched the show Blue Bloods, he's really good in that, and he's really good here. I want to say he's around for one or two more movies as well. I think it's next film is his last. I don't think the traps are very inventive, other than the ones I've previously mentioned. There's the one I mentioned already. Then there's a tub of needles that Xavier throws Amanda into, and there's a trap that Addison has to accomplish where if you've ever sandblasted something, you got the holes for your hands, and it's got the rubber gloves, and you work like that. It's kind of like one of those, except it's hanging up, and you have to put your hands through the holes and get the antidote. But instead of rubber cutouts that you push through, it's blades. She pushes arms through and cuts herself nice and gross. Ends up, not making it out of that one. So, I think they're cool because of this reason. The first one gives us nice gore. The tub of needles ties into Amanda's history of abuse of heroin, and the glass box with knife holes, or whatever you want to call it, ties into Addison's history of cutting herself. When the trap ties into the character and it's affecting them versus just putting them into like a reverse bear trap, which was what Amanda Young was first in the first film, it's that, you got a thing here and a thing here, and it's on a timer. Once it comes out, it snaps open, busts your jaw off. Just putting them in a reverse bear trap to just make something happen. Putting them in a trap that actually affects them is actually part of something they used to do, whether it's abuse of drugs or cutting yourself, or even there's a trap. The guy's a furnace mechanic, so he's used to climbing in and out of furnaces all the time. He's climbing into it, and that kills him because the furnace turns on. Even that, but that one's a little darker. Let's see. I said that one. The music for this series is strange. It's like a techno pop orchestral music mix that weirdly fits for everything that's going on, whether it's a tense scene, a death scene, or just anything. It's crazy. The sun's starting to come back out. So this movie is much more engaging than the first film. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. There's a simple reason for that. My biggest issue with these movies is they feel long, and they have an issue, like I talked about the last time we talked of this, is torture porn. That's a lot of people classify it as that. It's kind of got that aspect to it. I don't necessarily think that that's great. I can tell you, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of just throwing someone into a trap and killing them for the fun of it. But there's a lot of good scenes. There's a lot of good emotional scenes. There's a lot of good, death scenes, and there's a lot of gore for a lot of people who are enjoying that or do enjoy that, like myself. But there's a lot of quiet scenes of talking when you're doing flashbacks. There's the confusing timelines. That's why I don't think any of these movies are like a 10 out of 10. And I can say, based off of what I know about each of these movies, Saw 3 and Jigsaw might be the ones that I say are 8 out of 10s, but I also have never seen any of these. I've only watched kill counts for them over on Dead Meat. So, yeah. I do know, I think it's Saw 3 that has a character called Jeff. He's slow as hell. So we have to look forward to, so that's great. So the last issue I have with these movies is the cop plot takes place a few days after the trap plot. And that, it feels like when they're racing against time, it's more intense. But when it's like, yeah, the trap plot happened a few days ago, so we're gonna know what happened. Well, what if none of them made it out and now they're all dead? What if he could have saved them? Although I suppose thinking of it that way would make it better somehow. I don't know how I feel about it. So, anywho, Saw 2, 8 out of 10. Still watch. I think you guys, if you haven't seen the Saw series, give it a watch. I definitely don't think it's awful, but it's not as good as, say, one of my favorite horror movies and franchises. You know it already if you know me. Halloween. I've actually been rewatching them the past couple of nights. So the first night I got through Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Last night I watched 4. Tonight I think I'm going to end up watching 5 and 6. And then it's Resurrection and H2O, and then maybe the Rob Zombie ones. I don't have them. I don't know if I want to find them. And then, obviously, this one. Here's an exciting thing, though, speaking of Halloween. I found one. I found a Michael Myers action figure. I'm so happy. This is from Halloween 2. It has like you can put a syringe in his hand, and you can put a hammer. Those are some of the things he's used to kill people in those movies. Oh, I was so happy when I found one. I had been looking for him. I've actually been looking for the one from the 2018 movie, but you can't find it anywhere. So he's right here next to Mini Jason. So now there's Mini Michael. And I think instead of having Scooby-Doo Freddy, as I call him, I'm going to update mine to another one of the figure just like these. But the base question is, do I get the one from Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, or do I do the first movie? I think I'll probably end up going with Dream Warriors, since that's actually my favorite of the series. But time will tell. So, until Tuesday, when we dive back into the X-Men series with the third film. Yeah, I don't want to watch it either, but I agreed to this. I'm Luke. Oh, actually, before I finish, I do have one other thing. Somehow, Wednesdays this month has become Horror Wednesdays. I don't know how that happened when we're already doing a horror franchise, on Saturdays. Obviously, last Wednesday I finished up the Scooby-Doo movies, and if you can consider those horror movies, but, like, I'm doing Candyman next Wednesday. The Wednesday after that, Gremlins. The Wednesday after that, the Belko Experiment. And the Wednesday after that, Us. So, I don't know how that happened, but hey, who am I to complain? I like horror movies. So, until all of that, until Tuesday, I'm Luke, and I will see you guys later. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed what you just watched. If you're interested in more of my videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications every time I upload a video. And also, if you could, just leave a like down below, and maybe even consider commenting, telling me things I did good, things I did bad.